Are you looking to learn more about minor key signatures? Sure, you may have heard a lot about major key signatures and how to find out what key you're in given the key signature or anything like that. But today we are talking about specifically minor key signatures. So you see 3 sharps there. What key is that? What minor key is it? Well, that's what we're talking about today. So let's get on with the lesson. Okay, the first thing I want to say is if you're new to key signatures, brand new, you don't know anything about key signatures, I'm going to kind of skip some information in this lesson because I've done so many lessons on this already. What I want to tell you is that in the description, there's a playlist that you can find that you actually want to watch because it will actually bring you back to this video in the end anyway, and it will really, really help you catch you up on key signatures and the major key signatures, because I'm going to assume you already know some of that information already. So I want to let you know about that so you're not super confused. Let's get on to our first official topic. Okay, we're doing a quick review here. So remember 3 things basically. One is that a key tells you the tonal center and what notes are sharp or flat in a piece. And now what does that mean? Let me quickly tell you or remind you. Okay, so here we have, oh, that's the pen there. So here we have the keyboard. So a key tells you 2 things, as I mentioned. So say we're in the key of C. It tells you that first that the tonal center is C. What does that mean? Well, that means that most of the notes are centered around C. So some of the things what that really entails in a piece and what that means is that generally if you have a piece in the key of C, it's going to be starting and ending on C. Not 100% of the time, but most of the time. So a lot of the notes will center around whatever key that you're in. If you're playing at the scale of that key, you're going to start and end on that note. So it's called the tonal center. The other thing that it tells you is that what notes are sharp and flat throughout the scale or piece, whatever key that you're in or whatever example you're looking at. So C major obviously has 0 sharps, 0 flats. The key signature we have up here happens to be A major. First of all, it begins and ends on A. Its tonal center is A. And then you have those 3 sharps in there. So remember, those are the 2 things a key tells you. Now, a little bit more information on this is that for every key, there is a major and minor equivalent. I've only touched on this briefly. So, for instance, G major has 1 sharp, F sharp. There's also a minor with 1 sharp, and it also happens to be F sharp. And that happens to be E. And I'm going to talk about how to figure this out. Just like that. But keep that in mind. All right, let's get on to this next portion, which is you can use the key signature to figure out what key you're in. So just remember that. So remember that the key signature is this thing that we have up top here, and that depending on how many sharps or flats I have, from there you can figure out the key signature. Again, you want to check out that playlist I have for you in the description because it will really help catch you up with all this. All right. The next topic, the minor key is always. Now here's the main meat part of the lesson, 1.5 steps down from the tonic of the major key. I'm going to explain what all that means in a second. So A minor is the equivalent to C major. All right, let's take a look here. So we have, say we have actually this key with 3 sharps. So if you watch my other videos up until now, you'll know that to figure out what major key signature you're in, I'm going to go over it really quick in case somebody needs a refresher. All you do is you go to the last sharp we have. If you had a note there, right, it would be G. So because we're talking about G, you go to G sharp, you go up a half step. So this is the key of A major. Okay, so that's the key of A major, but there's also a minor key. So how do we figure out what that is? Well, going back to the slide I just talked about, the first thing you have to do is go to A, actually, which is the tonic of the key we're in. So the first note of any scale of any key is the tonic. So if you're in the key of G, G's your tonic. If you're in the key of A flat's your tonic. In this case, if we're in the key of A is our tonic. So you start on the tonic. Now, not including that note, you have to go down 1.5 steps, which if you're not really good at just jumping that amount, just count down 3 half steps. So you have this one, and then you go 1, 2, 3. F sharp minor is the equivalent to A major. Now, one thing I want to, you may be thinking to yourself, or maybe not, why didn't I call this G flat? Because every note, you know, you can call it either F sharp or G flat. It works pretty much anywhere. Like even C, you could call it B sharp, or I guess D double flat. So every key has two names to it. So why did I call this F sharp instead of G flat? Well, in general, there's a little rule here in that if you're talking about a key signature with sharps, major or minor, and you're trying to convert it to another key signature, that's minor equivalent, you want to make sure you keep it consistent. So because see how A had 3 sharps and not flats? Well, the resulting minor key signature is going to be F sharp instead of a G flat. So F sharp minor has 3 sharps, F, C, and G, just like A minor does. So let me write out the A major scale for you, rather. Okay, so here's the A major scale. You have from A up to the next A, and you have those 3 sharps in the middle there. Now, what does an F sharp minor scale look like? Well, you take the A major scale. I'm just going to copy it over here. And you just take it and you move it down to F. Actually, technically, it's F sharp because we still have the same 3 sharps we had before. It's just we're starting on a different note. So that's what an F sharp minor scale is going to sound like. So you're literally taking, when you're doing this, at least with, when you're doing this, basically what you're doing is you're starting the A major scale on F sharp. And that alone will make the scale minor instead of major. Okay, so now in our key signature, you can see that we have 3 flats. Those 3 flats, if you drew a note where each of those are, would be B, E, and A. Well, if you know anything about figuring out the major flat key signatures, you just go to the flat next to the last one. So in this case, it happens to be that E flat. So we're in the key of E flat now. So here's E flat on the piano. Now, one thing I'm going to do is find the minor key signature that's the equivalent. Now, what do I have to do? Think about it. Think back to that slide I talked about. Well, what you want to do is you want to, not including the tonic note, you start on your tonic note of whatever key you're in this case E flat, you go down how many? 1.5 steps, right? Which is 3 half steps or 3 semitones. So the answer is that C minor is the equivalent to E flat major. It has the same 3 flats. The only difference is instead of starting the scale on E flat, you're starting it on C, and that alone will make it sound minor. Okay, one thing I want to quickly mention is that you want to learn your minor scales. Now, why is this? Why would I make you learn your scales? So many students don't want to learn them. Well, when you know these scales right off the bat, you don't need to do all these conversions and things. You're just going to know that E minor has 1 sharp. Actually, I played the wrong version of it. But you'll know right off the bat, you'll know that F minor has 4 flats, B, E, A, and D. So just because I've been practicing those scales so much, it just helps things make it that much easier. I just wanted to quickly mention that. All right, on to the next topic, which is the natural minor. There are actually 3 versions of minor. I want to tell you that first off. The natural minor is the minor scale without any alterations at all. It is literally the major scale played on a different note. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Doesn't it sound exactly what we've been talking about for the last 5 minutes or so? Well, yeah, it's the exact same thing. So everything I've been telling you up to now applies to what's called the natural minor. That's literally when you're taking the major key, you're going down 3 half steps, and then you're playing the scale on that. That is known as a natural minor. There are 2 more. Let's talk about the next one. The next one is harmonic minor. Harmonic minor is when you raise the next to last note, creating a leading tone. So why would we do that? Well, for instance, we have the C minor scale here. Let me play the C minor scale for you. Here we have the C minor scale. I'm going to play it on the piano for you. Remember that we had those 2 flats right before the end. Well, in the case of a harmonic minor, we're actually going to take this next to last note and we're going to raise it by a half step or a semitone. So whatever the next touching note is, that's what it's going to be. So in this case, we had a B flat before. We're making it into a B, a natural. So let me write that in. So there, that alone has converted the scale from a C natural minor scale to a C harmonic minor scale. So my first question was, why? But why have two versions? Well, first of all, the real reason is that they wanted to create a leading tone. Now, why? Or what is a leading tone? Well, every major scale has a leading tone, which is always the next to last note. And it always has a very pulling feeling that you really want to play that final note. Whoops. Right, if I stop there, it's uncomfortable. You really want to play that note. However, a natural minor scale, like A minor, for instance, has no leading tone, because a leading tone, by definition, has to be a half step away from whatever note you're ending on. And with a major scale, it just so happens that that next to last note is always a half step away, you know, no matter what. But in natural minor, there is no leading tone, so it kind of sounds a little dry. So they add in that leading tone so they can have that again. There's also a few more implications in terms of what chords it gives you that you can use in that scale. We're not going to get into that so much today, because that's like a whole nother lesson in of itself. That's more of a chord progression lesson. But just know that harmonic minors, when they take the next to last note of the minor scale and they raise it a half step to make it a leading tone. So you're literally replacing that note with the one a half step above. Let's do another quick example of this. Here's our D natural minor scale. You have the D, E, F, G, A. Now careful that you have a B flat in the key signature. It's not written actually out in the scale. C, D. So it's missing a leading tone. So to turn it into a harmonic minor scale, you add in the sharp right there, and that's all you got to do. Now you're in harmonic minor. One quick thing I want to tell you is that the sharp, flat, or natural that occurs whenever you're raising that note by a half step, the next to last note, is not included in the key signature. So if you have a piece that is in harmonic minor, it's still going to have the same key signature the natural minor did, but the sharp will actually be written as an accidental, meaning that's written in the middle of the piece next to wherever note it is. So if I'm actually playing a piece in the key of D harmonic minor, you're actually going to see that C sharp not in the key signature, but written next to all the C's or some of the C's in the middle of the piece. There's another type. Right, and this is the melodic minor scale. So this one's an odd one. They use this to compose melodies. A lot of times teachers will not make you actually practice the melodic minor scale. I actually don't practice them. I do practice the naturals and the harmonic minors. Those are a little bit more practical. This one is ascending is a minor scale with a raised 6 and 7. So basically what you can think of it is that they took the first part of a minor scale, the first 5 notes of a minor scale, and then they added the last 3 notes of that major scale. So what that looks like is it looks like this. Okay, taking it back to C minor again. So you're going to have the same first 3 notes, actually 5 notes that you had before. Normally we'd have A flat, B flat, and then C to end out the scale. Keep in mind it's in the key signature there if you're wondering where it's at. So what we got to do is to make it melodic minors, you natural those 2 right before the top, which creates this combination of minor in the beginning, and then you just finish out like you would for the major scale. Coming back down, descending is the natural minor again. So the whole thing is, so you're adding in the flats back in when you are descending. I know it's a strange version of the minor scale, but you should know about it, because if you're serious about studying music, you will see books mention it and things like that. So it's important to know, you know, generally what they're talking about. Okay, let's take a look here. Cheryl asks, do harmonics only show up in minor keys? Yeah, so there is no harmonic major or harmonic diminished. There's actually no diminished keys, really. Well, I may have spoken too soon. There is such thing as a diminished scale. They're not used very often, especially in what we call common practice music, which is like classical and things like that. So let me take a look here. I actually, Rich, I don't know why melodic minor exists, to tell you the truth, because I didn't learn much about it other than what it was. Let me look it up, though. So what I'm doing, actually, I'll show you in here in a second. Why does melodic minor exist? I really don't know. For sure. I don't want to give you the wrong answer. All right, let's take a look. I understand the construction of the scales, natural minor, harmonic minor, raised sevenths, okay, but I don't understand why when I'm playing the minor scale descending, it flattens the sixth and seventh, giving me the natural minor. Okay, the main purpose of the raised scale degrees in ascending, melodic, and harmonic minor is to create a strong leading tone. Yeah, but see, okay, let me keep reading though. Clearly, the leading tone only makes sense if you actually do resolve it upwards. Okay. If you go down instead, this can leave a leave a feeling of unresolved tension. So let me see what they're doing here. Interesting. Okay, in harmonic minor, the unresolvedness is not as apparent because the attention will be drawn to the exotic, if not somewhat jarring, 1.5 tone step. So you got. Melodic minor avoids this 1.5 tone steps to create smoother melody lines when going up. Okay, so it literally is to write better melodies because from what I understand, if I'm reading this correctly, that obviously you have that leading tone there to have that pull. So, and what this article is saying, or this comment here, is that, let me make sure I got this right. When you're going up... Okay, they're doing A here. It's trying to figure out what key they're in. So when you're going up the scale and you have that leading tone there, let me show you with the piano. So when you have that, so we have A major. When you are going up the scale and you have that leading tone, it's not a problem. They're saying that if you have that sharp in there, it's not going to sound resolved because the whole thing with the leading tone is that it needs to do what's called resolving, which means it moves in a certain direction that makes it sound better. So like G sharp would move to A, and then let me see, I'm gonna have to read this through a few times, but coming down it's a problem because you're not resolving it. But that's weird. Hold on. Let's see. Firefly asks, should we learn and practice all the types of scales? You want to practice major, natural minor, and harmonic minor. Melodic minor you don't really need. Okay, I kind of get it. Okay, the reason melodic minor exists versus harmonic minor is harmonic minor has that last 3 notes. And it's a little bit jarring. In fact, I don't even say it sounds out of place, but it definitely sounds like Egyptian or a little, maybe it does sound a little bit out of place. So I think what the melodic minor is trying to attempt is to try to get around that jarring sound by adding in the 6th again. I'm going to have to read this through a few times. I never quite understood what the point of melodic minor is. I assumed that it was used for melody purposes, that like it would sound better. Okay, I see why they still have the leading tone going up. Okay, because you have the... I know I'm butchering this really bad, but you have the A melodic... So here's the A melodic minor scale. You go up like you do with the minor, and then you end like you do with the major. That makes sense because you have the 6th and then the 7th, that leading tone there brings you up. And now the reason they get rid of it, I get this part, the reason they get rid of it on the way down is to get rid of that leading tone. Because as it mentioned in the article, when you have a descending leading tone, remember a leading tone is supposed to pull you up to the note you started. So I know it's very convoluted and hard to understand, but I did my best to explain it. So remember, I think I could sum it up like this. Leading tones are better when you're ascending because they have to resolve up. Going down, they're not as good, I guess, because... even though you have that pull up, you're actually going down. So I think that's why they get rid of it on the way down. But then it's like, why does the major scale have it going up and down? I don't know. I don't know. I'd have to look more into it. It's definitely a music theory thing. Okay, let's see what everybody has been saying here. Chris says, Tim, will practicing my scales really help me play? Yes, big time. If you could only practice one thing for 6 months as a beginner, would it be scales or pieces? It would be sight reading. So, you don't know what it... Well, I don't know. You might know what sight reading is. Sight reading is reading something new from sight for the first time. I actually have some lessons I made recently on sight reading. Let me point you to the right place. So just type in like maybe sight reading lessons on the web. And there you go. How to sight read music the best way. Check out that lesson that I made. And that should really, really help you out. It explains what sight reading is, the importance of sight reading. But if you had one skill to practice for a month or whichever time you said, sight reading is definitely... the way you want to go. Now, don't get me wrong, scales will help you in a very practical way because scales help you, one, with fingering. They help you with coordination between both hands. One thing we talk a lot about in this live stream that we have. So there's a lot of uses for scales. They also help you understand what notes exist in a key signature. So, you know, you can learn your key signatures both ways, either by memorizing what they all are. But if you know how to play the scale... You know visually, you know, let me show you actually. You know visually, like if I'm playing the A major scale, where those sharps are because you know the scale. Summer Chan asks, what's a leading tone? So a leading tone is the next to last note in a scale. And by definition, it has to be a half step or a semitone, the smallest amount of movement you can make on the piano, away from the note you started on. So in C major... the B is the leading tone. In G major, it's actually F sharp, since there's an F sharp in G. Okay, Chris says, I'm learning sight reading as well. Like to learn pieces with sheet music rather than videos of what keys to press. Okay, I'm learning sight reading as well. Like to learn pieces with sheet music rather than videos of what keys to press. That's very, very good. So you want to stay away from that synesthesia stuff, that synesthesia crap. Now, synesthesia is okay if you want to learn like one song and that's it. You don't really want to touch the piano again. But if you actually want to get out there and be able to learn pieces and get better, then you're doing it the right way. You want to learn sheet music and you want to learn how to sight read. The most important skill I think anybody can have learning an instrument is definitely sight reading. Hey, Dylan says, hey, long time no see. I agree, Dylan. How have you been? Glad to have you back with us again today. All right, so I think I've gotten to most of the questions here. I've gotten to a big part of the lesson. Let me make sure I haven't missed any questions about minor scales. So let me just scroll through. Ice Mike's asked, do you think that a person who has attempted to learn piano for years but hasn't, do you think it is still possible? Yes, it definitely is. Now, you might want to re-strategize. So, like, if you're doing the same things you were doing last time and it's not clicking for you, still not working out, you may want to, like, kind of think, like, okay, what different strategy can I do? Like, maybe even want to get a teacher if you have the ability to afford one or you have access to one. But you might want to change up what you're actually playing. So if you're not learning sight reading and scales and things like that, you want to start there, because seriously, those are the fundamental skills you want to have to get better. So yeah, you absolutely can still learn. I don't believe that some people, so long as they're like healthy, you know what I mean? Like, so long as they're not severely handicapped or anything like that, they have the ability to learn the piano. They might not be able to learn the piano super duper duper fast. I mean, even a lot of people with challenges, they can learn piano to some degree. But you might not be able to learn it super fast, but you can learn. And if you try, and what I'm saying is, like, I just don't believe in those teachers that say, oh, well, you know, that child or that student, they're just not for music. They should do something else. But it's like, well, maybe, you know, maybe they don't learn super fast, but they can still learn and gain successes and learn a lot of the pieces that they want to do. So you want to keep at it, but re-strategize if you need to. Okay, let's see here. How long should it take to learn sight reading? Years to master sight reading. You can actually get pretty good sight reading. It depends on who you are, but if you practice sight reading every day for 3 months, you should see some significant improvement, very significant, I would think, in your ability to learn to read new music. But it's something that you never will one day be like, oh, I have it mastered. You know, I don't need to practice sight reading anymore. But no, you'll never have it completely mastered, but you can get pretty good at it within 3 months, I would say. Let's see. Gemma says, hey, what about runs in frills in the minor scales? Well, all a run really is a lot of times is playing up and down the scale. So it would be the same kind of thing. You would just be playing it real fast. All right, is there any easy method or a fast way to be better at sight reading? Check out the video I gave you. It's called How to Sight Read Sheet Music the Best Way. You want to check that out. It has yellow print. It has my face on it with glasses, even though I don't wear glasses. Oh, snap. Gotta go, Dylan. Oh, sorry about that, Dylan. Glad you could make it out here with us today. Have a good one. All right, Rich also has a great suggestion right there. What minor key signature has no accidental sharp or flat? Well, you tell me. So what you want to do is you first want to find the major key signature with 0 sharp, 0 flats. You go to C, right? That's the answer. If you play the C major scale, there's no sharps and flats in that. Then what do you have to do? This is from the lesson today. You go down, how far? Not including the note you're pressing. You go down 3 semitones or 3 half steps. 1, 2, 3. And hey, A minor has 0 sharps, 0 flats, just like C major. Okay, I don't get what it matters whether you're in major or minor scale if you just play the sharps and flats as written. Okay, so the main great question. So what is the point? Well, if you have a key in minor, right? Not only there's a ton of implications for that. So first of all, if you're in a major key, say we're going to do C major versus A minor. That's just going to make it easy for this explanation. So you have 8 total notes in a scale. I mean, you have 7 individual notes because they repeat there. So when you're building chords, you can build a chord on any note of the scale. So like you have 7 notes in a scale, you also have 7 chords you can work with. Now, remember that in the beginning, I said that a key signature tells you 2 things. And this goes for major or minor. It tells you what notes are sharp or flat in that key, piece, scale, whatever you're looking at. But it also tells you something else. What was it? It tells you what the tonal center is. This is a big, big deal. And the reasoning behind that is that when your tonal center is C major, first of all, the beginning and ending notes of the piece are probably going to be C, but there's more implications than that. That's telling you that, first of all, the most important keys in any scale are the first chord, built on the first note of the scale. The fourth chord, built on the fourth note of the scale. The fifth chord, built on the fifth note of the scale. Now, so in the key of C major, in general, you're going to expect to see a lot of C majors, F majors, and G major chords in there. Like that, just as an example. Now, if you're an A minor, this changes everything, because now your tonal center is A. So you can also expect a lot of your notes to center around A instead of C. But what also does that mean? That also means that our chords that we're building on each note of the scale, we have 8 chords still, or 7 chords, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then you repeat the first one again. Well, that changes everything, because now the first chord instead of C major is A minor. So in an A minor piece, you're going to see a lot of A minor chords instead of C major ones. You're going to see a lot of D minor chords instead of F major ones, because that's the 4 chord, the other important chord in that key. And then the 5 chord, you're going to see some E minors or some E majors versus G majors. So it's actually changing not only what your tonal center is, but it's also changing what chords are the primary or most important chords of that key. And then also, same thing, like if you have a piece in the key of C major, your first and ending chords are probably C or something like that. But if it was an A minor, then the beginning and ending chords would probably be an A minor chord. Rich hit it on the head. The mood will be different, and the chords as well. Abba says the key of A flat major has how many flats? 4. B, E, A, and D. See, I know I'm pretty good. In the common time signature, how many beats are there in a measure? There are 4 beats. Are you doing your theory homework right now? Rich says, Tim, great explanation. You're very welcome, Rich. Well, I guess you didn't say thank you, but thank you for saying that. Okay, everybody, we're in the last, I don't know, like 15 minutes, depending on if it goes on that far. So since we're getting towards the end, I want to do the announcements and everything like that. First announcement I want to remind you right now is that we are off next Friday and next Sunday. I will be working behind the scenes, but really what I need to do is just take some time to take a step back and think about the next lesson topics I want to make, and actually just take it easy a little bit on the evenings of Friday and Sunday just for next week to kind of recharge. I noticed that if I kind of give myself to recharge every once in a while, I actually make a lot better content. If I keep working straight through and I start getting burnout, that never really ends well. Sometimes it's better to just take a little time off. But like I said, I still will be doing some work behind the scenes, drafting up what ideas I want to do next. So just letting you know about that is very important. I think Ava is doing one. What 2 clefs are usually involved when reading music? Treble clef and bass clef. Oh my goodness. Oh man. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh, I was saying we're going to be off next week, but we do meet Fridays and Sundays. After that, we'll be back on our normal schedule, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So whatever like 45 minutes ago was for you, that's when we meet. Okay, let me show you a couple of things. Okay, I have a website, pianolessonsontheweb.com. I'm going to talk more about that in a second. I want to show you that if there's a community page, you go at the top and click on community, and scroll down. First of all, they tell you how to, or I tell you how to join the live stream, but you already know that, I'm sure. And then we have the calendar of when and what we're talking about, when we're meeting and what we're talking about. Excuse me, I'm starting to get some hiccups or something going on. So the calendar will be updated very soon, so check back. But I just want to let you know that this is the calendar of when we're meeting and what we're talking about, if you wanted to know about that. If you wanted to keep up to date with all of our fantastic live streams. All right, thank you very much, Gemma. Let's see. Rich says, Tim, what do you do to pump yourself up to play piano? I keep procrastinating my practice. I listen to music, to tell you the truth. A lot of times, my inspiration to practice piano or play piano comes after I heard a piece on YouTube or something like that, or something I want to play. A lot of times, like we've talked about many times, I'm very into video game music. So if I'm playing a game and I really dig the music, a lot of times I'll look that music up and at least learn how to play through the first page, or like at least the beginning parts of it. So a lot of times that's the answer. I really listen to music, and then that gets me usually charged up and ready to play. How long to learn sight reading? 3 months-ish. Okay. Let's see. Okay, you can learn how to sight read in about 3 months. I think if you spend every day sight reading for 3 months, that you'll become proficient at it. You're not going to be a sight reading master, but you will certainly notice a difference from where you started. All right, everybody, I want to let you know about my website, because if you like the lessons over here on YouTube, you're really going to like what you see over there, because it's me teaching the courses. So if you like my style of teaching, you find these videos informative, then you want to go over there, because this on my website, I have 25 courses that I've made, all designed to help you learn a lot more about piano and music. And there's stuff here for beginners, like if you want a good review, or intermediate and even advanced topics that I haven't talked about on the channel, and I probably never will, at least to the depth I will talk to in these courses. So what can you expect from one of these courses? Well, you can expect instructional videos just like the one you're watching now, but also included, and these videos are all exclusive to the website. You're not going to find them anywhere else, except some of the courses are over on what we call Udemy as well. But go over, this is a better alternative to that. But anyway, you can get instructional videos. You can also get real printable sheet music examples, real songs to play, online activities, quizzes, and then a lot of other things you can expect from a normal course you will find here as well. And they're all organized around their topic and difficulty level. If you want to check out the different courses that we have, you click on the music courses page here at the top, and then you just scroll down. As you can see, we have piano, music theory, rhythm, and then there's multiple courses in each one. As you can see, there's quite a few for some of them. Improvisation, we have sight reading, which I'm actually updating right now. And they have ear training. So a lot of topics that I feel will make you a well-rounded musician. And a lot of these things like ear training, I've barely covered on the channel at all. So you want to go check that out. You can also get a pretty good deal if you sign up for one of our course packs, but you can sign up for the courses individually. One thing I want to tell you is that you can use code YouTube to get 15% off during checkout on any order. So if you want to get the course packs, you can do that and get the discount. Or if you want to get one of the individual courses, that code applies right there as well. So I want to let you know about that, because like I said, if you like what you see over here on the YouTube channel, you're really going to like what you see over there. Okay. There we go. What age did I start playing? I started playing around 6 years old or so. So I've been playing for a pretty long time, 25 years-ish. Getting up there. For how many hours? I'm not sure. Thanks, Tim. We'll be back for your next stream. Well, thank you, Chris. I'm glad you found it enjoyable, and we will meet again. Like I said, we're off next week, but we will meet in 2 weeks from Friday. No. From last Friday. So not this Friday, the Friday after that. Let me give everybody a date on that, by the way, so you know what is going on. So Friday we're off. Next Sunday we're off. We will be back Friday the 13th. Wow. Hopefully Freddy Krueger doesn't come and get us. All right, thanks a lot, everybody. Any other quick questions maybe about minor key signatures or anything like that? My favorite video game soundtrack. That's a great question. Mega Man is great. We were talking about Mega Man actually a few weeks ago, I think. Mega Man is great. Castlevania has some great music as well. I love the music from the Persona games. I love the Persona games in general, even though they take way too long to beat. What else? Sonic. Sonic has some good music. Like the Sonic Mania just came out. Well, it just came out. It was like 2 months ago already, but like maybe a month and a half ago. Oh, maybe a little over a month, like a month and a week. But anyway, that came out, and then that has awesome music. And of course, the original Sonic games had awesome music. And Sonic 3 had awesome music because Michael Jackson supposedly helped write the soundtrack, even though he wanted his name taken off of it. But you can hear the influences in Sonic 3 to Michael Jackson for sure. But I love that that type of music as well. I've never tried Persona. I'm going to look up the music. It has really awesome music. It has like, I just love it. Like, I don't know. Whenever I play one of the Persona games, it has amazing music. Abba says, how many hours do you reckon to play piano every day to get good at sight reading? I would sight read like maybe 20 minutes to half hour a day. You don't really need to go crazy and practice an hour of sight reading unless you're trying to get really good. But you can get pretty good at sight reading, maybe sight reading 20 minutes a day. Maybe even less. Like, honestly, getting any sight reading, as long as it's every day, is better than none. Final Fantasy VII has a terrific soundtrack. There's an old RPG on PlayStation nobody knows about called Suikoden. I call it Suikoden because I played it when I was a kid. It's like a Japanese role-playing game, and it's amazing, and it has amazing music as well. So I always love that one as well. I'm trying to think of some others. There are definitely like even what was that game? You're like the mouse and you have like the rocket. You're like a possum, I think. Sparkster was like the sequel. Rocket Knight Adventures. That game has good music as well. Okay, Chris asked, Tim, what's your opinion on Beethoven? Can you play Moonlight Sonata third movement? Any advice learning it? I never learned the third movement, to tell you the truth. I did learn like maybe the first page or two, so I know I can learn it. But my opinion on Beethoven is great. I love playing Beethoven music on the piano. Moonlight Sonata is a great one. I do know how to play the first movement. I've played a little bit of the second, but I've never completely learned the third. But I could, of course, if I, if I had the time and I really buckled down and practiced just that. Okay, Rich says, track 5 from Batman Returns Sega CD is the best song. I think I've heard that soundtrack as well. I keep saying that as well. But yeah, I definitely have heard the Batman Returns. Even the Sega CD one, I'm pretty sure. Actually, the Batman game on NES has really good music, doesn't it? If I remember right. All right, everybody. I think we're getting close to the hour here, and we're talking about video games. So let me do the playlist here, or the outro. Okay, if you want to learn more about figuring out key signatures, or maybe you want to go back and like learn the tips on figuring out your major key signatures, you definitely want to check out this playlist that I made for you. You don't want to miss out because, like I said, it will really help you broaden your horizons on this topic. And you want to subscribe because we have new lessons coming out all the time and you don't want to miss out. So thanks everybody for coming out, and I'll check you out for the next lesson. Thank you so much.